everyone. My name is Ursula Nebel, and this is field-based activity number 4 for Dr. Kokiko's class in Education 541, School and Society at Franciscan University. This field-based activity is on proposition number 3 from the National Board for Professional Teaching Propositions. Teachers are responsible for managing and monitoring student learning. Also, this activity is based on Trend 7. The percentage of American children living in families with incomes below the poverty line has increased continuously. Nearly 1 in 5 children are poor today. The field-based activity statement is as follows. Examine Maslow's hierarchy of needs and explain how his concepts impact a student's ability to learn, as well as support the need for teachers to pay particular attention to these factors. Abraham Maslow developed this needs chart in 1943 to explain human motivation and growth and development. According to Maslow, human beings are motivated by unsatisfied needs, and certain lower needs need to be satisfied before higher needs can be addressed. The lower needs are called deficiency needs, and they include physiological, safety, love, and esteem. A person must satisfy each level of the chart before he or she is able to act unselfishly and move towards self-actualization. You can see examples of the needs within the different levels. This is the question that my field educator and I thought about. How do the human needs found on Maslow's chart affect academic achievement? Relevant research. According to the Merriam-Webster Dictionary, self-esteem is the confidence and satisfaction in oneself. In Maslow's hierarchy of needs chart, self-esteem can be found higher in the pyramid than belonging, safety, and physiological needs. Do children with lower levels of self-esteem perform more poorly than those with higher levels of self-esteem? Elves, Martin, and others found that the level of self-esteem did in fact affect 7th graders' performance. There was a strong correlation between high self-esteem and high academic performance. They also found, however, that the correlation was not present for the older students, the 8th and 9th graders. Elves Martin suggested that possibly self-esteem has more of an effect on younger students. Another journal article reaffirms the importance of teacher-student relationships. We have consistently learned throughout our master studies that teachers do matter. Although parents and teachers are both influential, Martin and others found that after controlling for gender and age, teacher effects are stronger than parent effects, particularly in academics. So, if a student builds a strong, positive relationship with a good teacher, this can make all of the difference, even if these needs are not being met at home. I spoke with Alyssa DeLuca, an English virtual teacher at the Pennsylvania Cyber Charter School, who works with 6th grade students, to find her thoughts regarding children's needs and learning. She made the following points. Do the students in the classroom feel safe? Are there any abuse issues at home? If students are worried about what they might go home to or in the virtual classroom, if students are constantly worried about what is going on around them, it may be difficult to focus on the learning in the classroom. As teachers, we are all mandated reporters if we suspect abuse of a child. Alyssa had first-hand experience when student teaching. A student always came to school very dirty and extremely hungry. The child was living out of a van with his father. He was very thin and was always very tired and falling asleep during class. This case was reported, and social workers did investigate the situation and the living arrangement. The point is that teachers must be aware of their students' needs, even if those needs are at the bottom of Maslow's hierarchy. Alyssa and I also spoke about bullying and self-esteem issues. Students may not be afraid of going home, but perhaps they are frightened to come to school. Once again, how can students focus on academics if they are worried about being bullied? Of course, students who are teased could have low self-esteem, and if they don't think highly of themselves, this may hinder the concentration on their classes. Teachers must be keenly aware of any possible bullying and self-esteem issues, so that prompt interventions can be made. The final point Alyssa made was that teachers wear many hats. At different times, we must be the teacher, friend, guidance counselor, negotiator, coach, referee, etc. We must know when it is appropriate for each role. Following my research and discussions with Alyssa, I formulated 3 teaching goals in relation to children's needs and learning. Continue to affirm my students. I am a firm believer in praise and doing what I can to build students' confidence and self-esteem. In my experience with my 5th grade math students, students who feel that they can succeed at a task actually will. This reminds me of our Learning and Education 541 regarding students living in poverty. It is important for me to have a trusting relationship with all of my students, as well as hold them to a high expectation. My second teaching goal is to always be mindful of lower level needs such as safety and hunger. As a teacher, I monitor students' writings at the beginning of class for anything unusual during chat or during discussions with friends. Chatting and writing is an emotional outlet, so if there are abuse or safety issues in the home, it may come through in their writing. From other virtual teachers telling me stories about their students, they have mentioned that they have had students write them notes about possible physical abuse by a family member. In these instances, of course, they were reported immediately, but it makes me more keenly aware of my students, especially in the cyber school setting, where I cannot see them. My third goal would be to prevent cyberbullying in my classes. Students must feel safe and feel like they belong in a virtual classroom, just as they do in a traditional one. It is extremely important for me to encourage and expect a respectful virtual environment. Treating other students or me with disrespect is not tolerated, and students will lose chatting, breakout room time with peers, or discussion board privileges if this rule is violated. My students must always feel welcome and safe in my class. Theodore Roosevelt once said that people don't care how much you know until they know how much you care. I really think that this quote applies to the teacher-student relationship. When a student's deficiency needs are satisfied and the school environment is a positive and a compassionate one, students can pursue learning with open minds. Thank you so much for listening. Have a wonderful day. Here are my references.